A very good evening to you and welcome to this week's edition of KTN Friday Briefing. My name is Edith Kimani and our sign language interpreter this evening is William Sealer. Our guest anchor this evening was voted by the International Certificate Association as the best musical performer and the most influential artist brand name in Kenya. He was also asked by the Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero to be the youth leader, an appointment which he declined. Jaguar, the musician, is going to be joining me this evening. Also, Willis the Wordmaster is standing by in Kisumu and he'll be joining us a little later just to teach us how to pronounce a few words which we may think we're saying correctly, but we actually are not. The United Kingdom will from Monday next week relax its travel advisory to Nairobi to bring into line with other big cities with similar socio-economic attributes. In what will come as a slight reprieve, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of UK has updated its travel advisory, removing the advice against all but essential travel to just low-income areas of Nairobi. Benki Tili reports.
The Foreign and Commonwealth Office FCO ministers have decided to relax the UK travel advisory to the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, and what will be seen as a drop in the ocean following a series of travel advisories issued against Kenya a few months ago. This change on the British travel advisories will come into effect from Monday, September 29th, 2014. This move, the British Foreign Office says, will put Nairobi at par with other comparable cities worldwide. However, the advice against all but essential travel to Eastleigh area of Nairobi remains, as does travel advisories against other parts of the country, most notably Kenya's tourism hub of Mombasa. Britain has said that the update reflects an assessment of the security situation in Kenya, adding that the travel advice is kept under constant review. In May this year, around 400 British holiday makers returned to the UK from Kenya after 10 people were killed in twin explosions in Nairobi. Subsequent travel advisories from various countries have continued to impact negatively on the tourism industry. According to the British Foreign Office, 185,967 British nationals visited Kenya in the year 2012. At the same time, 10 people were arrested in a major security swoop in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. The 10 accused of being members of the Al-Qaeda-linked terror group Al-Shabaab appeared in a Kampala court Wednesday and were remanded as their case was adjourned to October 7th. The 10 include 1 Kenyan and 9 Somali citizens. On September 13th, the U.S. Embassy in Uganda warned its citizens of an imminent attack. Ugandan authorities then carried out the operation, making arrests and reportedly impounding explosives. Both Kenya and Uganda have been targeted by Al-Shabaab militants in the past, and both countries are key contributors of troops to the African mission in Somalia, AMISOM. Ben Kitili, KTN.
The Council of Governors has no capacity to recommend the suspension of the Makueni County government. Senate Speaker Ekwe Thuro says such a role is only the reserve of the Senate and the President. And as Ferdinand Omondi reports, the Speaker has also faulted the High Court for stopping the Senate from grilling governors.
These ugly scenes brought Makueni County to the national limelight. Supporters of Governor Kivutha Kibwana against other leaders from the county. In the end, at least 5 people are left nursing bullet wounds. The governor's councillors threatened to ask the president to suspend the county government, but now the Senate Speaker says the governors are overstepping their mandate.
It's only the president and the Senate through a resolution that recommend a suspension of our county government, not the Council of Governors.
Article 192 of the Constitution empowers the President to suspend a county government in an emergency arising out of internal conflict or war, or in any other exceptional circumstances. In the latter scenario, the Senate must approve the suspension.
And even that, you must appoint a commission to consider the issues. You cannot just ask to suspend a county government on the basis that the governor has failed to come to summons, on the basis that a governor has not explained himself on the money that is supposed to have been misappropriated, or on the basis that there was some chaos in the assembly. That's a police matter.
5 people sustained gunshot wounds in Makueni in a confrontation pitting bodyguards, police and Kivutha supporters. 2 bodyguards and a civilian have already been charged in court over the matter, while 5 other policemen have been disarmed pending investigations. Governor Kibwana has been accused of condoning graft in the county and questions raised at the manner in which the county expends its funds. Ethuro is now faulting the High Court for granting orders stopping the Senate from grilling governors on county government finances.
Article 125 of the Constitution gives Parliament the power to summon anyone, not just for information, but also to interrogate. Failure for that person to appear, the same Parliament has same powers like the ones of the High Court. So you can treat it as contempt of court. So for a governor, instead of coming to a House of Parliament, which is acting like now a High Court, he goes to the other High Court. I would have expected actually the High Court to say, we have no jurisdiction on this matter. Go to the Supreme Court.
Ferdinand Omondi, KTN, Mombasa.
From Mombasa, we cross over to Makueni, where a section of women in the county are still grappling with maternal challenges since hospitals are really far from their homes, not to mention bad roads. And although health workers insist that maternal deaths have reduced significantly due to the availability of new and up-to-date equipment, residents of Ndongoni locations say they need a health facility closer to them if they're to benefit from the free maternal health care provided by the government. KTN's Mashirima Kapombe reports.
These are the challenges that expectant mothers face in Ntongoni location, Makueni County. When the pain is unbearable, she is forced to get off the bicycle with a need to just lie down, but those around her encourage her to be strong until she gets to the nearest hospital 3 kilometers away.
Wakina mama wakiwa wazito wanazalia njiani, tunapata shida nyingi kwa sababu tunaenda na baiskeli, mamao ni nyingi, mpalapala ni mbaya.
Tunapata watoto wengi wanaitwa mwanzia kwa maana wamezaliwa wakiwa kwa njia.
Before the luxury of border borders in this area, the women say life was much harder. But even then, the border borders have challenges of their own when the expectant mother is ready to deliver while on the way.
Ndio imekuwa nafuu kidogo, lakini shida ni njia. Alafu kama ni mwanamke akiwa anasaa kwa motorbike hawezi akapepeka.
At the various county level hospitals in the area, health officials can only boast of the progress made technologically and the reduction of maternal deaths.
Now we have 9 theaters in the county, down from 3, and this obviously has led to more patients getting emergency services, especially mothers who are delivering in these facilities.
But those on the ground say the inaccessibility to the health facilities is a challenge that prevents them from enjoying what is meant to be free.
Community health workers wamesema kama ni mtu anaanza kusaa apelekwe kwa hospitali, asisalie huku ambapo sisi tunasaidia tu, manake huyu mtu ukimpeleka huku anaweza kuumia kwa njia, wengine wanasaa kwa njia.
The interesting bit, however, is that the maternal challenges being experienced in Tongoni location are in Makueni County, where just recently leaders and their supporters had a scuffle that left 5 people injured in a gun drama. All this while, the screams of women trying to get to hospital to deliver go unnoticed. Mashirima Kapombe, KTN Friday Briefing.
To Another closely related issue to maternal health, actually part of maternal health. In 2004, you'll remember the very controversial case of Dr. John Nyamu, who was arrested and sentenced after 15 fetuses were found by the roadside. For Nyamu, Jackson Namunya Tali's death sentence is wrong and misguided. However, Nairobi lawyer and pro-life activist Harrison Kinyanjui looks at the situation differently. Catherine Omwanto has the details.
There is only one case of abortion where in 2004, Republic versus Dr. Nyamu and the two others, they were charged with murder for having related to abortion cases. But this case was thrown out because the judge said that for a murder to occur, a fetus or another child has to come out in a living state.
He and two other nurses were arrested for the alleged murder of 15 fetus found by the roadside. John Nyamu spent a year in prison before the court threw out the case. For this gynecologist, Jackson Nyamunya Tali's death sentence struck a nerve.
As a health provider, I feel that the ruling is unfair.
In his opinion, if there was negligence on the part of Tali, he should have been charged for manslaughter, but not murder.
If you are talking about abortion, the Penal Code section which deals with abortion is different from the one which deals with the murder. And definitely, if we go by the case of abortion, then the maximum sentence that this gentleman should have been handed was 14 years, according to section 158 of the Kenya Penal Code. As far as the abortion murder is concerned, we feel that murdering, the woman died all right, but there was no murder. I mean, there was no malice aforethought, which is required as a case for confirming murder.
What saved Nyamu in 2004 is the Penal Code, which states that murder must be committed to someone who has been born and is living and breathing. In his mind, Jackson Tali has every right to appeal the ruling made by Justice Ombija on Thursday. But Nairobi lawyer Harrison Kinyanjui has a different opinion.
In my view, it's long overdue. In my view, it is a real good progression in terms of our jurisprudence in upholding and protecting the right to life. The right to life is enshrined in Article 26(1) of our Constitution, and it is a recognition of the life of the fetus. That indeed, if you do procure an abortion, you suffer the risk of the person whom you're assisting and aiding in procuring this abortion dying.
The pro-life activist believes that Jackson Tali should actually serve as an example to others.
There is no violation of someone's right to life if you are convicted by a competent court of law for a crime that is actually calling for the death sentence. Article 26(3) of our Constitution says that no one should be deprived of life, unlawfully. But if there is actually the constitutional framework or the springboard by means of which then the law that is passed says you are supposed to suffer the consequences of your action through taking away of your life, that is lawful. There is no contradiction in that.
As far as negligence is concerned, this could be a case of negligence, all right, but it could have been dealt by the regulatory body, that is a nursing council, because it's a nurse, but it should not have gone to the court corridors of justice, because feel that the negligence case cannot be termed as a murder case. It could have been negligent, all right, if he attempted to do a procedure where he is not supposed to do. And I think there's also a problem with the Ministry of Health, because they should have developed standards and guidelines to guide people when they should do a procedure.
Tali was charged for murder and not abortion, and here the two experts agree on who is to blame once a case is brought to court.
People should be informed. The police should be informed. They should not just charge, when somebody has died, they should not charge the person with murder because and somebody has died. They have to find out whether there is any law in the Penal Code which is this person is rightly being charged with The judiciary also should know what the law says, especially on abortion matters.
One of the problems that we've had is that our police are not trained in that field, neither do they focus mostly on that. And then you also have the complication, if I may call it that. You do not have a direct complainant. You have the person who should be complaining actually doing the crime, that is this particular mother, the person who's carrying this unborn child, procuring the abortion. This is the person who is actually guilty and who should, in a technical way, be the complainant.
Sources reveal that Tali could actually appeal his death sentence, but whether he does this or not, this case has generated a lot of debate and will be in the headlines for a while now. And it also sheds light on some inadequacies, especially when it comes to evidence gathering by the police. Catherine Omwando, KTN.
Now, today is World Contraceptive Day, a day set aside to promote awareness on contraception usage. The occasion plays eye-opener to couples in making informed choices on their sexual and reproductive health. In Kakamega, for example, residents of Matete made processions as maternal deaths and increased cases of sexual defilement took center stage. Community-based organizations organized a drama festival to raise awareness among women and to sensitize the society against the vice. The county is among 15 others in the country that have been singled out in a report by the United Nations Population Fund as having one of the highest maternal deaths in the country, something that is now worrying health experts.
Tumepoteza watu wetu wengi sana, hasa sana wasichana wadogo katika mambo ya afya ya uzazi. Na ni kwa nini tunapoteza? Ni kwa sababu imani potovu. The traditional beliefs.
Only 30% kwa wamama hapa kwa jamii couples wanatumia umpangaji ya uzazi 30%, na tunafaa tuwe tunatumia zaidi ya watu 80% katika Kakamega County.
When they come to hospital, there's bureaucracy, you know. At times they can be told, go and pay for this, get this, get other things here and there, pay for the laboratory, pay for the P3. We go to the police station, already the perpetrator has corrupted the system.
There are fears of a humanitarian food crisis in the northern region of the country as drought continues to loom. The dire situation caused by months of failed rains has led to severe water and food shortage for both people and livestock. Drought monitoring and assessment reports indicate that the hardest hit areas include Marsabit, Moyale and Mandera. The situation in Mandera is getting worse and the leaders are appealing for immediate intervention.
The rains have failed for months. Mandera is just reeling from conflict that has left many dead and tens of thousands displaced. And now a greater humanitarian crisis, drought. Many of the displaced have taken shelter in drought-stricken areas, the worst being in Ramu and Banisa sub-counties.
In terms of the drought situation that has gone out of control as at now to somewhere in most areas severe.
Water sources are drying up. Several water ponds have dried up. The capacity of our boreholes is also diminishing by the day because we are pumping out a lot of water to truck to the communities out there.
The county government says that in spite of the measures it has put in place with support from the national government and the Kenya Red Cross to mitigate drought, the situation still remains dire.
We appreciate the effort is being done by the national government and the county government, but it's actually now getting out of hand. It requires further intervention.
Livestock farmers are also counting heavy losses. The average daily loss of animals has risen in the last 3 weeks as crucial water sources have dried up. Reserve pasture is also fast getting depleted. Many of the remaining water sources are contaminated, leading to increased incidence of waterborne diseases.
If we don't move in very quickly, then we will be talking of an imminent disaster.
We are fearing for the lives of the people and also the animals towards the county. And I think we need a rapid response so that we can be able to assist the people.
As the county grapples with food insecurity, the situation in Tana River County is a sharp contrast. Farmers who had sold their crop to the county government received their dues. The county government is working closely with the National Irrigation Board to ensure sustainable supply of food.
Kwa nini msiambie national government badala ya kuleta chakula na gharama zote kutoka Nairobi, muje mununue kwetu mupatie watu wenu?
Lack of disaster preparedness has remained one of Kenya's development challenges for decades. Experts say that other than emergency response, governments, and particularly those at the county level, should give priority to sustainable production and consumption patterns. Dorcas Wangira, KTN.
Thank you. After so long, I've been begging this guy for like 3 months. Mbona una maringo hivyo Jaguar?
Nilikuwa nataka at least nikamna kitu content, unaona?
So umekuja na nini sasa?
Nimekuja na 1 centimeter. Na story mobs zenye utaniuliza. Do you want to come kama sina kitu ya kusema?
It's good to have you with us.
Nashukuru.
So let's begin with what's happened to you this year. You were voted, and this is how I began the bulletin, as by the International Certificate Association as the best musical performer and the most influential artist brand name in Kenya. What does that even mean? That you're the best in the business right now?
Kwangu yani inanifanya ni work hard, unaona, kwa sababu na believe yani every day kuna space, unaona. Haiwezi nifanya nikuwe mlezi kwa sababu nimework hard sana for the last 10 years. Tukitembea mguu kwenda studio, creating new materials. Kwa hivyo kwangu hainisho nimefika, inanisho yani na need work more kwa sababu kuna mwingine anaweza nishinda. So kwa hivyo competition sasa inajua iko.
So umekuwa kwa music industry for 10 years?
Like 7, I can say serious 7.
Na ulianza wapi? Because kuna mtu alisema, when I told them Jaguar is coming, they're like, I remember him. He used to perform as a curtain raiser for kina Red Sun. Umetoka mbali?
Wakati I started music nikiwa senior chief kwa Inange High School. Kidogo tukiwa shule. The only lucky part nilikuwa nayo ni ati Shaki and Mandu, the one who formed Mandugu, alikuwa senior chief, so he used to compete now like every day. So guys would tell me,
so mkiwa senior chief
tulikuwa tunafanya si kwa serious hivyo. So one day soloist akuja, mwalimu anaitwa Mr. Mbugu akaniambia, can you try? Nikaimba, akaniambia, mazee wewe una talent sana. Na namshukuru sana Mr. Mbugu kwa sababu aliniwekea kitu siku anaona. Naweza sema juu nilikuwa na problem ya fees kutoka form 1 mpaka form 4, ilifika place lazima senior wangeniweka kwa sababu I was the main soloist. Kwa hivyo anytime ya music nilikuwa naitwa kama nimefukuzwa juu ya fees.
So ulikuwa unaimba choir ama ulikuwa unaimba competitions?
Za Kikuyu zote, za Kikuyu, za Kiswahili.
So unajua kudance vizuri?
Hizo siku nilikuwa mnoma sana. If you look at my first video, na shake kiuno kuliko Fali.
Alafu ukamaliza form 4?
Form 4, I didn't have any place ya kwenda. So my first job ilikuwa kwa chemist umoja. Where I used to go for drugs, tao na tumo na paper bag na kimbia vitu kama hizo. That's where nilikuwa napata hiyo 2,000, 1,000. Nika record my first song ilikuwa naitwa Utaweza Kweli. Then I did the second one. So
ilikuwa about sasa what you were going through ama what was it about?
Ilikuwa tu ile unajua ukianza when you have the talent una thinking you are very big. So I was thinking nasema hakuna mtu anaweza utawezana na Jaguar. So guys were like, "Ai, huyu ni nani anauliza kama watu watamweza?" Then I did Furaha, which hiyo naweza sema ilifanya vizuri kidogo. That's why I started to do shows kidogo. But nakumbuka before to record we had to walk from Umoja mpaka Westlands kutafuta mtu ako na laptop.
Na sasa place ya kurecord hivyo ndio nilikuwa nataka kukuuliza, na pesa ya kurecord because making music is expensive. How are you affording
even now? Sahi ndio imekuwa expensive more. Those days tulikuwa tuna the luckiest part yani naweza shukuru watu walikuwa naitwa Planet kwa sababu they did for me the video, the Furaha video, when nobody else had a video apart from Nonini na Jua Kali. So kwa sababu najua ilikuwa inachezwa, watu walikuwa wananijua. Kwa hivyo nikienda huko Kakamega, Kisii, Busia, I had to do shows na watu wanaku appreciate.
Lakini Jaguar alikuja kujulikana after which song?
Jaguar, kwanza nilifanya music kwanza mpaka nika lose hope kwa sababu naona hakuna do na make. Sometimes na walk, sometimes watu wa home wanakuambia mazee hakuna kitu na do. I think after nikusikize, when I did nikusikize, because I went to my producer nikamwambia mazee na kuomba ogopa DJs unisaidie kwa sababu ni kama napoteza, because I did a lot of songs, unaona, but naweza sema ile mistake nilikuwa nao nikianza ni ile nilikuwa najisikia ni kama nimefika. So even the songs I used to do nilikuwa nafanya zangu za kujisifu like I'm the best and stuff. So after some time nikaona mazee wasanii wengine wanakaa wananiacha, nikaona tu nikuwe humble. So I went to my producer nikamwambia nisaidie. So he told me, go listen to the music of now, then you start making music from there.
But as you're making the music, bado ulikuwa unafanya biashara.
I started after nime lose hope niliendelea tu na hiyo job ya chemist mpaka nikafungua video nini yangu, library yangu. Alafu sasa watu wakaanza kunijua kidogo. Nilikuwa na kwa TV. That's when I decided mazee sitaki kununua gari ya kuzunguka nayo, so I bought a taxi ka 110. Wakati ifanye job ninanipeleka place nataka, because I didn't want to buy a car kwa sababu singeweza ku afford. Yep.
And then after now your big hit single comes. How did you become this Jaguar that we know today, Mr. Blingman?
Ni after no.
Yeah, no, you're wearing the bling.
Miss Jai change, naweza sema kigeugeu, after kigeugeu. Because hiyo time nilikuwa nishaanza biashara kidogo, so I wrote the song after niliona venye watu wale watu wako wanaamini unaweza come, because I did vuka border with AY and guys were like, okay, oh boy ni kama ana come. So when I did kigeugeu, I wrote it kwa sababu nilikuwa naona, I thought nilikuwa nadhania ili siku nitamake one day watu watakuwa wananishangilia, Jaguar unaendelea, but nikapata the more naendelea kuwa popular watu wananisengenya sana. Like guys don't want to see me succeed. That's when I wrote the song Kigeugeu.
And then you wrote it and it became massive.
Massive.
And you also became massive and you're performing this song across the borders.
True.
And how was that for you?
Mimi nashukuru tu God kwa sababu ni vitu sikuwa nadhania. Yani mimi ni ule boy nilianza nikijua yani sitaiva kiatu, unaona? Yani mimi ni ule boy nilikuwa natoka nikienda shags kwetu, sijawahi kalia kwa matatu kwa kiti. All the time nasimama, unaona ile mtoto simama, kija simama like that, because I used to be very small.
Right.
Kwa hivyo mimi naweza sema ni God to miracles na kutia bidii na kuomba every day and being mtu mpoa kwa watu, kwa sababu na believe yani dunia unalipwa na venye unakuwa.
Okay.
Yep.
So from Kigeugeu, I think the next time we're seeing you, you have all these flashy videos. We're seeing you with pictures with the president. The first time I met you, you were at the most unlikely place. It was a TJRC hearing with my Nanjenga. Where did you meet all these people? And the former vice president, the deputy president?
I think what I usually do, naweza sema, when I meet people, natraingi sana kuongea what they're talking about. Like if I meet the president, siwezi enda kumwambia talk ya 1940, unaona. I always try yani nimwambie kitu itamu-entertain, unaona, ama kitu atataka kuona Jaguar. That's why tumekuwa friends na president, even the former prime minister, na namshukuru sana kwa sababu he is the one who noticed yo Kigeugeu mpaka akaniambia, yani akaniita kwa ofisi na we became good friends kwa sababu tunaweza exchange hizo notes, unaona, see about music only. Then the DP, the deputy president Ruto, also alinijua juu ya Kigeugeu kwa sababu they were arguing at a rally, anaambiwa hiyo wimbo ni ya Mkenya na yeye anasema hapana ni ya Mtanzania. So he said niletee huyo mtu kwa ofisi. So after that we became good friends.
Lakini what is it about you? Because kuna so many artists that the president and the deputy president and the former the former PM could have heard, but ni wewe ndio walikuchagua. Kwa nini?
Because me I'm always straight. Kwa sababu nikienda kama sasa hivi meet the president anauliza Jaguar habari gani, maneno namna gani, namwambia vijana wanalia, so like wanatakaje, like you need to talk more about the youth, unaona. Nikimeet the deep na niuliza Jaguar mambo iko namna gani huko nje, namwambia tunakosea vijana kwa sababu we promise, like I'm always straight, nitakwambia ukweli.
But speaking of straight, kuna watu wengi wamesema maneno juu yako, you've been accused of being a drug peddler, a drug dealer, a drug lord.
Something funny, mimi hata sijui dawa zinakaaje. Kwa sababu nasikia mtu anasema ai huyo mzee anauza dawa, unaona, but me I've never dealt with such stuff, and those guys, even me, kuna time walifanya hata nishikwe, like yani we want to investigate you, then I was like sasa ni nini nimefanya, unaona. They were like okay mnauzanga na so and so and so, then they investigated and they were like okay pole sana for the accusations.
So waka investigate na hiyo story ikaisha
hivyo.
But your story bado yuko. So what are some of the most ridiculous things umesikia juu yako apart from that one?
Story kama hiyo, na mtu anasema like when they see you ukiwa successful, unasikia mtu asema most people believe ukiwa successful lazima uuze dawa, and me to them I always tell them kuna vitu mob unaweza fanya, kwa sababu venye nimekuambia nimeanzia kwa kuuza chemist, kufanya video, kufanya job ya taxi, kufagia kwa petrol station, I've done all sort of things, na mimi na believing yani hakuna kitu iwezi kufikisha mahali unaenda. Hata fundi wa viatu anaweza fungua bata. So most of the youth hata huko nje mimi huambia lazima work hard. Usidanganywe na mtu ati nani anauza dawa nani, kwa sababu hata na believe hata dawa kuna mtu anauza na hapati pesa, unaona. So
okay, so is this why you're always giving back? Because when I googled you, the first thing that came, Jaguar philanthropist, mtu wa kupeana, and I know you're taking care of the late Jarostina's children. Is this because of your background ndio unaona lazima usaidie watu ama
true,
how
does
that work?
Kwa sababu mimi nilipoteza mamangu nikiwa 11 years and sijai lala njaa, naweza sema hivyo. So after some time nimefanya music nikaanza kujiuliza how did I go through school, kwa sababu nina sister na brother and they didn't go to school. Brother wangu alidrop akiwa 7, sister yangu alidrop akiwa 8. So all the time nilikuwa najiuliza kwa nini mimi nimesoma, unaona, like nimeenda form 4 nimemaliza, sijawahi lala njaa. So that's when I decided maybe God alikuwa na reason ya kuniweka hapo.
Okay, one more question before usome news. Uko tayari kusoma news?
Kabisa.
Aya. Back to your music. Nyimbo zako zote apart from Now Kigego ni hizo nyimbo za kwanza. Recently you've been singing about heartbreak. Kwa hiyo wimbo unaachwa na bibi yako. What's going on? 1 centimeter away, don't leave me. Are you going through something?
Ni juu natafuta.
So is that the inspiration for the video?
I wanted to do something different from zile songs za jamii and stuff, so I decided to do a love song. Then next itakuwa love song, itakuwa kitu kingine tofauti.
Na sasa hii pesa ya kufanya choppers, all those expensive videos and whatnot, is it easy to come by? Because kuna musician fulani anakuangalia from, you know, they're starting, and they'll think that the day I get into music, I'll be rich like this.
Mi kila time usema ni bidii, unaona? Na kusave, kwa sababu watu wengi unasikia mtu anasema mimi na 1,000 nitasave aje? If you can't save hiyo 1,000 utaipanda hiyo chopa. That's all I can say.
So nifuate sasa. Umesema uko na bidii sana. Let's see how good you're going to be with this news reading business.
Nachukua job yako hata.
Just sit on this chair. Be very comfortable. And it's very simple. Utatan come to. Sasa Kiswahili utupe out the window.
Siwezi translate.
Huwezi translate kwa Kiswahili. Look at camera 2, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then read the story on the auto cue. When you're ready. Si you sit up. Nani ushaiona akisema news akiwa hivyo?
Oh, nika hivi.
Ai, ukae vizuri.
Mtu usemaje ni introduce aje?
Uji-introduce tu venye unaweza ji-introduce kwa the wife, your wife's parents.
My name is Charles Jaguar. Na ni mimi nawasomea news hii. Najiintroduce na Kiswahili but nasoma na Kizungu. Hi. Residents of Kisumu, Manyatta neighborhood are decrying the rampant cases of defilement that have engulfed the low-income estate residents and accuse motorcycle and taxi operators in the vicinity of being behind the spike in the rape and defilement, with some of the victims being as young as 6 years old. Fred Omulo brings us the story.
For this 10-year-old girl, adolescence couldn't have begun on a worse note. While playing with a friend, a man they know as a border operator gave them 200 shillings and sent them to do his shopping. This was the beginning of a beastly ordeal which took a familiar pattern. Threats, inducements, and more defilement of the two girls. When her mother discovered, she made an effort to nail the culprit, but ultimately failed after he fled a police dragnet.
Sasa walikuwa namtafuta. Nilikuwa hapa nyuma. Sasa anasema huyo baba ya huyo mtoto kuna Kenya anaweza nifanyia. Nilishampiga nikamng'oa meno. Kuna Kenya atafanya. Tena nikarudi kwa polisi. Wakatoa gari mpaka huko district. Wakaenda kumtafuta. Ameona hao mapolisi akakimbia, akatoroka na watu wakamwona. Akakimbia mpaka leo hii hajaonekana, amepotea.
In recent week, the girl has developed sores on her body, having been infected with an unknown disease since the family is too poor to afford treatment. The two girls are not the only ones who have suffered under the increasing number of pedophiles. Mothers here have to keep a close watch on their daughters, lest the predators move in.
Sai, hata kwa usema kweli kwa hii landi, tunaogopa kutuma mtoto kwa duka. Kwa ajili ukituma mtoto hata kwa duka, unaweza sikia mtoto mwingine ameshikwa huko. Sasa unajua tunaogopa.
Na unaona kama watu wenye wako na ugonjwa. Sasa zingine shapata ugonjwa. Anaona akienda na mtoto, anafikiria akienda na mtoto mdogo mchanga, anafikiria hiyo ugonjwa ataisha kwake. Na sio hivyo.
Numerous cases of rape and defilement go unreported in large swaths of Kisumu city due to ignorance, poverty and bureaucracy, a situation that is slowly ushering in the law of the jungle in neighborhoods around here. Fred Omulo, KTN, Kisumu City.
That was our guest anchor this evening. So, mtu akikuuliza, how did you do at KTN? Unaweza job yako ya kuwa musician ukuje uanze kusoma news?
Naweza kuwa mnoma sana kwanza na suit juice jaiva.
Ujaiva suti?
Once, yani mimi mtu masuti.
Sawa, so I know you have to go, but you have to tell us what is coming up. Kumekuwa na rumors that you're collaborating with some international artists.
Tumefanya collab na Iyanya na inaweza toka next week from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Then maybe tunaweza fanya na Muzito Akon.
Hey.
Maybe before December.
Well, thank you very much for making time to be with us on KTN Friday Briefing. Unfortunately, he has to leave, but we will be right back with the business news, so stay tuned for that. And of course, we have a lot more coming up.
The announcement about cars first came in August as President Kenyatta met Kenyans in diaspora on the sidelines of the US-Africa Summit.
Tuseme, those who live in countries where people drive on the wrong side of the road be able to buy a vehicle that drives on the right side of the road and to be able to bring that car into Kenya duty-free.
Yeah. But it was only the latest set of goodies being dangled at the Kenyans who live out here, a group that is fast becoming a big voice in determining what goes on inside Kenya.
Like, for instance, I'm a lawyer. I know both the American law, I know both the Kenyan law. So in terms of legal, I can contribute a lot.
North America is especially critical, with a huge population of Kenyans accounting for more than 45% of all the money sent into the country by Kenyans living abroad. But away from the short-term benefits, such as the free importation of cars, the Kenyans out here are looking for more.
There's a recognition for the diaspora's role.
Letitia Mula is the vice chair of the East African Diaspora Business Council, a group seeking to connect the outside world with business opportunities in Kenya and the neighboring countries.
We need to structure the diaspora relationships with the home countries through some policies that enable for diaspora dollar investment efficiency. We also need to be able to channel diaspora dollars and diaspora knowledge to infrastructure development.
Now, for many Kenyans coming out here, this is indeed a land of opportunity. And with their numbers swelling by the day and newer economic opportunities coming up at home, many believe that their role in the economy and perhaps the politics can only increase in the coming years. Jogeo, KTN, Washington, D.C.
Members of savings and credit cooperative societies who default on their loans will have trouble borrowing from banks as cooperatives begin sharing information with credit reference bureaus. Now, the SACCO Societies Regulatory Authority, or SASRA has cautioned SACCOs to be wary of members who are out to take loans with the intention of not repaying, even if they're in a position to pay off their debt obligations, as it tightens the noose on bad borrowers. Philip Keitani has that report.
The SACCO Society Regulatory Authority now insists that the character of borrowers is more important than their ability to service their loans. Last year, cooperative registered with SASRA had 8.9 billion shillings in loans that were not being paid off, necessitating the need to keep tabs on defaulters.
Once we are trusted, then we can be able to use our credit facilities to consume even when you don't have cash.
The latest move is part of efforts by the SACCO movement to weed out serial loan defaulters from the subsector and to ensure SACCOs have enough funds for on-lending. The defaulters will not only be banned from SACCOs, but also make it difficult for them to access loans from other financial institutions, including commercial banks, microfinance institutions, and the Higher Education Loan Board.
The easiest and the fastest way to kill a SACCO is to fail to collect the loans that you have given.
Information sharing is likely to help reduce bad loans further as banks send defaulters seeking credit back to SACCOs that had them blacklisted to settle the outstanding amount. Loans are classified as being default after they go for 90 days without any payment. The move is expected to tighten the noose on bad borrowers who try to access credit from lenders that do not have a full view of their debt.
Good credit history, you then get good credit scores, and those credit scores will then begin to impact at the rate on the price that you borrow and the terms that you get from either the SACCOs themselves or the member.
More than 50 SACCOs or credit unions have started listing defaulters, with others issuing notices of intention to join the platform. Philip Keita, KTN Business.
Have you ever wondered what goes into the price of a house? Is it the location, perhaps the size of the property, maybe the proximity to social amenities, the value of the land and the presence of a swimming pool? Or is it a combination of all these and even more? And if it is, then how much is the influence of each in determining the value of the property? Well, the Kenya Bankers Association is working on an index that will seek to provide these answers and demystify just how the country's real estate sector is faring as a whole and in the different income segments. The association has drawn up a framework that will measure how various aspects, such as a type of house, location, or even the presence of a borehole, influence the prices of the house in the country. KBA has drawn its data from 5 banks, which together hold more than 70% of all mortgage accounts in the country. With such a breadth of information, the association is optimistic that findings will be both credible and independent.
For apartments only, depending on the type of the houses are variable on its own. And therefore we can be able to tell which type of the house is contributing to price rise more than the others.
This is not being proposed as a competing index to House Consult or to the House Consult index, but as an alternative index, and one that I am very confident will end up being a more comprehensive and market acceptable.
Family Bank has announced plans to raise 3.5 billion shillings through a rights issue by the end of the year. Now, this will be the second rights issue by the mid-tier bank in 2 years as it seeks to position itself in the market. The funds raised are expected to help the bank meet the new prudential guidelines issued by the central bank requiring all commercial lenders to maintain a minimum core capital to total risk-weighted assets ratio of 10.5% from the current 8.5%. Banks such as NIC and National Bank have announced plans to go into the capital markets to raise funds to also meet the new ratios. Family Bank also plans to use part of the money to onward lend to customers. Expansion is also on the bank's horizon, with plans to have 80 branches by the end of 2015.
But anybody who invested a shilling 5 years ago is worth 7 shillings today. So that's a strong, persuasive case for people to invest in.
It's now time for an English lesson right here on KTN Friday Briefing. So it's time to link up with Willis Ochieng, who we like to refer to as Willis, a word master. How are you doing, Willis?
I'm doing good, Edith. And how have you been since the other week?
I've been very well. Is that a cold I detect in your voice?
Just a bit of it.
Just a little bit. Well, I wish you a quick recovery. I hope it's not going to stop you from teaching us how to pronounce a few of these words.
Thank you, and I have to do something thoroughly.
Okay, well, we begin with our street word this evening. It seems very easy, but a lot of people mispronounce it. So, is it a tortoise or is it a tortoise?
Well, this word is commonly mispronounced, and I repeat, mispronounced as tortoise. Some other people would mispronounce it as tatas, which is wrong. But the correct pronunciation of this word is tortoise. So, tortoise, no. Tatas, no. Tortoise, yes.
Tortoise. All right, thank you for that, Willis. I'm sure everyone can remember that, tortoise. Let's now have a look at a word that Lynn Washira, our sports anchor, is probably very familiar with. The place where a lot of events happen in the sporting arena. Is it a stadium, a stadium? What's the proper way to pronounce this word, Willis?
Well, some words which are mistaken to be pronounced the way they are spelled are not exactly that way. We don't say stadium, we don't say stadium, we don't say stadium, but we say stadium or stadium. So people should avoid stadium.
So no stadium, it's stadium. All right. And still in sports, when someone is receiving a gold medal, they're very happy because they have, is it won or is it won?
That word is not pronounced the way it is spelled. W-O-N, we say won. They won the match. Somebody has won a medal, not won. When we talk of won, it's just like when we are talking about, the word wear. It is worn on the body, W-O-R-N, or it is worn out. Then we also talk of I warned you to stop doing this.
Okay, so one, not one. Okay, Willis, hey, Leo, you have really shown us. The next word might also have to do with sports. when you're in a team, you need a lot of, is it cohesion or is it cohesion?
Cohesion, cohesion, no. Many people find themselves saying that. Cohesion, cohesion, no. We say cohesion, cohesion. Just like we talk of adhesion, adhesion, not adhesion. And if you allow me, I'll also remind people to avoid saying adhere. There is nothing like adhere. We say adhere, adhere, to adhere to this or that.
Adhere. Okay, I have to remember that one. I think I'm very guilty of saying adhere too. So, adhering to what you're saying, Jacob Njogu from Nakuru wants to know the proper way to pronounce these two words. THIS, as in this bulletin, and THESE. These viewers, these, this, what's, how do you distinguish the two?
Well, we say this. This car is mine. But we say the plural as these. These cars. It means we have, in the plural, we have the long vowel sound E, and we also have what we call a voiced sound. That is Z, Z, these cars. But when we talk of the singular form, we say this car.
So this and these, this is the right way to pronounce these words. All right, I quite like that. One more word very quickly before we look at our surprise word for this evening. When someone is not brave, they're accused of, is it cowardice? Is it cowardice? What's the proper way to pronounce this word, Willis?
I'll begin by saying you deserve a pat on your back for asking me this question. Because many people say cowardice, which is nowhere when we talk about the accepted or the standard pronunciation of English words. It's cowardice, just like we talk of hospice, not hospice, novice, not novice, prejudice, not prejudice, so cowardice.
Cowardice. All right, I've run out of words, Willis. It's time for you to give us a surprise word this evening.
Well, the surprise word, my dear sister, today, we talk of a man who is a hero, the man. But when we talk of a lady, or a girl for that matter, many people find themselves saying heroine, which is wrong. We say heroine, he, not he, heroine. Just like when we are talking of, the illegal drug. Let us not talk of heroin, we say heroin. That is my surprise word for tonight, my dear sister.
Well, fantastic, Willis. We'll all make sure we adhere to these words that you have taught us how to pronounce. That's all we had from you this evening, Willis. It's good night from Nairobi.
And good night from Kisumu. Next time when you come to Kisumu, we'll look for a huge tilapia for you.
I look forward to that, Willis, and there's lots of witnesses to hold you account to that. Well, that's Willis, the Wordmaster this week. Do catch up with him next Friday on Mind Your Language.
The kick off the bulletin in matters rugby, where Kenya boys under 19, the Kenyan team, of course, will face off Stanchat Impala Academy in tomorrow's first semi-final. Kiadondo RFC faces off with Nyanza in the second semi-final. This came as Uganda's Vixens girls under 19 cruised to a 14-0 victory over Kenya's Comrades to win the girls' title. Moses Wahisi reports.
Uganda Vixens made history by clinching the inaugural Girls Under 19 Safaricom Sevens title after a 14-0 victory over Kenya's Comrades. The Uganda Queens were more organized in their display, and they attributed their victory to the organizational approach.
We trained them, they were picking up so fast, so it's very, very good beginning for us as Uganda.
It was very nice. I thank Kenyans that have kept us safely. Security has been good. I thank Kenyans very much.
The Girls Under 19 match was one of the curtain raiser ahead of the tomorrow's Proper Sevens tournament, where the big boys will battle it out. In the boys category, Nairobi has a date with Stanchat Impala Academy in the first semi-final, while Kiadondo RFC will battle it out against Nyanza. The youngsters used this opportunity to showcase their talent.
For now, you can see they're exposing the under-19 playing matches like the Safaricom Sevens, the Curtain Raisers matches, and stuff like that.
With the current crisis of the National Sevens team following the boycott of elite players, the organizers of the tournament remain confident that this year's Safaricom Sevens series has helped the rugby management to discover new talent. An action-packed curtain raiser day it has been. Now after today's focus shift to the 3 Kenyan teams, and the question begs, will the home lads sparkle? Moses Wahesi, KTN Sports.
And of course, the Kasarani Stadium is the place to be tomorrow and Sunday as the Safaricom Safari Sevens kick-off in earnest. And moving on, Football Kenya Federation delegates have sealed the fate of 3 suspended officials by filling their positions in an exercise that lasted a record 30 minutes. 50 out of 78 delegates attended the special general meeting, and 39 of them endorsed the election of Robert Asembo to replace Sami Sholei, who had been suspended for 6 years. Former Nairobi branch chairman Simon Mugo was confirmed as the national executive member representing Nairobi to take the place of Dan Shikanda. Mohamed Omar replaced Hussein Terry, who has been representing Mombasa.
Okay, give us, you join us.
We called the meeting.
And to some golf news, Brian Njoroge defended the KCB Golf Tour title after beating Riz Charania of Windsor Golf and Country Club in the 3rd hole of a sudden death playoff at the Par 71 Nyali Golf and Country Club course in Mombasa. The two had tied on level par total of 284, and Njoroge fired 3 over par 74, a round which saw him drop 4 shots, while Charania had caddied 2 over par 73 to force the playoff. Njoroge, who bogeyed the 2nd hole at the front 9 and later at the 12th, 13th and 16th, and made only 1 birdie at the 17th. And a total of 19 vintage cars from overseas will line up this Sunday during the 2014 Concours d'Elegance at the Racecourse Cup. A 1928 Graham Page saloon vintage entered by Herman Zapp and his family from Argentina is one of the attractions. The Graham Page will contest the class for pre-1940 cars, which featured 2 Ford models as a 1934 Alvis and a Bentley made in 1936.
We're just wrapping up this edition of KTN Friday Briefing, but not before we give you the results of the big question. This evening we had asked you if you think the death penalty should be aborted, and here are the results. 52% of you think yes, and 48% of you think no. And I'll just sample 2 at Eshards, I hope I said that right on Twitter, says to take life when a life has been lost is not justice, rather it is revenge, it is not justice. Quoting Desmond Tutu there, thank you. At I am Jimmy refutes that and says, no, I actually believe the death penalty should be reactivated to deal with the corrupt and rapists. Thank you for your opinions and your views, and obviously for tuning to KTN Friday Briefing and for all your comments through our hashtag Friday Briefing. My name is Edith Kimani. From myself and our sign language interpreter William Sida, you've been briefed.